Good morning, students. So I hope so you all are doing well. So yesterday we have started off with this chapter with summary lecture 1. Now today we are going to continue that only with summary lecture 2, chapter 4, agriculture, class 10, subject geography. So today we are going to discuss about rest of the topics that we haven't discussed in our previous lecture, and in our next lecture we'll complete it off with this chapter by doing the question and answer session. So we'll most probably completing this chapter by tomorrow itself. So let's get started with this lecture now. So our first topic that we are going to cover is contribution of agriculture to the national economy, employment and output. So basically, what is the contribution of agriculture into our national economy, to our employment sector and the total output that agriculture gives to our country. So we are going to discuss that in parts. So first of all, agriculture has been the backbone of Indian economy through its share in the gross domestic product. So basically, agriculture is one of the main thing that India is doing from a very long time, and it is always the backbone of Indian economy through its share in the GDP rate. That you have also studied in the economics as well, why there is the agriculture is important and it is one of the most important activity in India, and it has registered a declining trend from 1951 onwards. You also have studied about this in economics, that why it has been declining from 1951. So we have discussed about the 40-year graph, that why it is being decreasing, because it is increasing in the other particular sectors. So in 2010 and 2011, about 52% of the total workforce was employed by the farm sector. So in the record itself, it has been noted that in 2010 and 11 graph, that 52% of the total workforce that are there in India has been employed in the farm sector only. But still, there is a declining in the share of agriculture in the GDP is a matter of serious concern, because any decline and stagnation in agriculture will lead to a decline in the other spheres of economy, having wider implications for society. So basically, if there will be certain decline of share in agriculture in GDP, it is going to affect the other sectors as well, because it is the primary sector of India. So if the primary sector is being affected, it is going to affect the other particular sectors as well. So there is a serious concern for particularly agriculture, because of this decline, the other part of the sector is being also being affected, and because of that, there is not a proper stagnation of economy that has been established till now. So to establish a proper economy, we need a balance of all the three sectors that are there in India, and mainly it should start from agriculture itself. So that's why there was a serious concern about agriculture here. Now, establishment of Indian Council of Agriculture Research has said that agriculture universities, veterinary services and animal breeding centers, horticulture development, research and development in the field of meteorology and weather forecast, etc., were given priority for improving Indian agriculture. So now the steps that have been taken to improve the agriculture sector is that they have set up certain universities to educate the farmers, to educate this particular system, so that they could understand the new methods, the new techniques to how they can safeguard the agriculture and build as much as products as they can from agriculture sector. So they started off with this agriculture programs in universities, so that the people who want to study about these things could examine the agriculture sector in detail, about horticulture development, breeding centers and all the related stuff about agriculture basically, so they can study. So basically, when I was in college, there was a particular course there, apart from my course, about this agriculture department, and there was particularly a huge growth that I have seen from years to years, that people are opting that particular course and studying about agriculture, and they want to be a part of that profession only. So now it has been developing to improve basically the Indian agriculture there. Now, how our food grains are proceed, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of these particular methods. So, basically, after this, we are going to discuss about what are the basic food grains procedures that have been taken, and what can be the advantages and disadvantages of this particular method. So, FCI procures food grains from the farmers at the minimum support price. So, basically, the government take these food grains from the farmers at a minimum support price that have been given to them, that has been fixed for the farmers, that this particular amount will be given to them. Then the government used to provide subsidies also on agricultural inputs like fertilizers, water, etc. So, and government have also initiated certain subsidies that have been given to the farmers for the agricultural inputs that they are taking, for like fertilizers, they are taking water, etc. But these have now reached sustainable levels and have also led to large scale inefficiencies in the use of their scarce input. So basically, they want more production, and the amount they are getting, the particular things is not enough for them now. It is, and they need a larger sections of fertilizers and these particular inputs, but they are not getting enough, because actually there is a wider range of agriculture field now, and particularly they don't want to, the government doesn't have that much of particularly you can say that in things that they can give to the farmers. So they are giving them only a sufficient amount of it, and they have to make utilize of maximum of it. So they are very inefficiencies in the use of this scarce input. Now, the excessive use of water and fertilizers have led to waterlogging. Now, because the farmers want more production, they are using a lot more amount of fertilizers than is usually required, and it has led to waterlogging, salinity, and depletion of micronutrients in the soil. So, basically, there is particularly nutrients in the soil fertility, which can decrease the level of soil fertility level. But now, because of all the use of these fertilizers and pesticides, it has been declining rapidly. So now what is happening, that because of this excessive use of fertilizers, it is leading to waterlogging, salinity, and depletion of micronutrients in the soil. Now the high NCP subsidies in input and committed FCI purchases have distorted the cropping pattern also. So because of this, they are getting cheaper rate of fertilizers in the market, and they can purchase it from the FCI as well. So the cropping pattern is completely changed, which they were following a years back. So now they have been kind of commercially, they are leading to commercial side, not to the thinking that it could harm the people's health, and all these things is happening to them. So they have been completely changing to the commercial farming now. So the wheat and paddy crops grown in Punjab and Haryana are for the MCP they get, which has created serious imbalance in inner crop parties. So basically, this wheat and paddy crops that grow in Punjab and Haryana are a part of MCP here, but which they have created serious imbalance in the inner crop parties as well. So the other crops are not initially grown there, they are only growing particularly only those, the space has been given to only those crops which can be given them maximum profit there. So they are basically not anticipating all the imbalance that has been created in the inner crop parties. Now, how our consumers are divided? What are its drawbacks and disadvantages for this? So the consumers are divided into two things. First is below poverty level, and the second is above poverty level. So basically, the consumers, so there is a scheme that is still going on, and Narendra Modi has yesterday announced only about this particular thing. So that 80 crore people will be getting 5 kg of wheat or rice per month. Like each person will be getting that particular thing till November. So that is only because it is instituted if they are in the below poverty line or in the above poverty line. So it has also been seen that on the basis of that. So it is not going to given to all of them. It should be the consumers have been divided there who are below poverty level and who are above poverty level. So however, this category is not perfect as the number of deserving poor are excluded from BPL category, and some of so-called APL slip back to BPL because of the failure of one crop, and it is administratively difficult to accumulate such steps. So basically you can't predict anything, which anything can happen. So sometimes those people who are in the below poverty line, if one of the crop get hit by in the market, so they can come up to the APL level. But sometimes who are in the APL level, if one of the crop is not being is a kind of a failure in the market, they can also shift to the BPL level. So you can't fix this particular category, and it is if they have particularly made this these categories, they have to be particularly given them those. There should be certain rules and regulations, and particularly any kind of administrative difficulty should not be there, so that if there is any shift, they could also get enough of benefit if they are in BPL category or in the APL category, because they are more or less would be in any one of them. Now, how can they become self-sufficient? So, self-sufficiency can be attained if government provides proper agricultural infrastructure to them, and credit linkage, and also encourage them to use the latest techniques. So, how can they become self-sufficient? So, they can attain if the government is giving them proper agricultural infrastructures, they are giving them credit linkage, and also encourage them to use the latest technology. Instead of concentrating only on wheat or rice, the food crop with a better growth potential in that particular area must be encouraged. So basically, most of the farmers are only focusing on wheat or rice because they are the surviving stable food of India, and they are going to get the maximum benefit of it. But they are not even thinking about the other things, other crops. So the other food crops with a better growth potential in that particular area should also be encouraged. Now, creation of necessary infrastructure like irrigation facilities, availability of electricity, etc., may also attract private investments in agriculture. So, if there is particularly a better infrastructure given to them, agriculture facilities are there, availability of electricity is there, so it can also attract the private investments. Not only the government one, the private investments could also be interested in agriculture then. Now, the focus on increasing food grain production, which should be on a sustainable basis, and also free trade in grains will create massive employment and reduce poverty in rural areas. So if the focus is more on increasing the food grain production, so the main focus is on production, not on the transportation. So if the main focus should always be on the food grain production, which should be on the sustainable basis, and they should be getting free trade in grains, so that they can easily provide it to the other wholesale markets, and which can basically reduce the poverty level in the rural areas. Now, what is the future of India's food security? If we talk about what is the future of India's food security, the shift that happened came from cultivation of food crops to cultivation of fruits, vegetables, oil seeds, and industrial crops. This has led to reduction of net swan area under cereals and pulses. So basically, there is a certain shift that have been came from all these food crops that are there. Basically, fruits are there, vegetables are there, oil seeds, industrial crops. Now, they have been increased. Now the production of these things has been increased, and other things like cereals and pulses production have been decreasing, because in India also, in particularly in the urban side, they are not very much interested in cereals and pulses. They are more of interested in their proper diet, and they are taking fruits, vegetables, and such kind of industrial crops that are there in the market. So they are taking that more. So because of that, there is a shift from the fruit, from this food crop to this particularly cultivation of these fruits, vegetables, and also basically what will be the demand, that is going to be the things that will be getting to them. So it all depends on the demand of the public, what they want. So the competition for land between non-agriculture uses and agriculture has reduced net farm area. So basically the competition that for the land that is there for particularly non-agriculture uses have been shifted to the agriculture one, because of this highly populated areas that have been building in India. So the shift and the competition for land has also been increasing. Now the productivity of land is declining due to fertilizers, pesticides, and insecticides. And the productivity of a particular land, if a land can build 1000 of wheat crops, now it is been declining to 500 and it is reducing day by day because of the maximum use of these fertilizers, pesticides, and insecticides into that land area. Scarcity of water has also led to reduction of area under irrigation, whereas insufficient water management has led to waterlogging and salinity. So there is a scarcity of water as well because of the reduction of area under this irrigation thing. So irrigation thing is going on, and because of that there is insufficient of water management, and it has led to waterlogging and salinity. Now this is a particularly chart till 2011 that you can see about India's grain production, which you can see which particular cereal is trending and which production is have seen the more of the growth. So as you can see in rice, wheat, oats, and pulses, more major staple food is particularly not declining here, but they are increasing day by day. But the oats and pulses, if you see, it is still stable, it is not much of increasing. You can study this particular chart here only. Now the next topic, why has food grain production remained stable or fallen for the 5 executive years? So there is a 5 executive plan that you know. So the reasons are, first of all, land degradation. So obviously if you will be using that particular land area with more of these irrigation things, so there will be land degradation at that particular pace. Then there will be reduction of water storage in aquifers due to unstable pumping, inadequate storage and market facilities, and farmers have to pay high prices for these HYBCs, fertilizers, etc., but lack in bargaining power to fix prices in their favor. So the farmers are not that smart enough to deal these HYBCs. They are not much of educated as well, and the rate that they are getting is very high. They can be getting and they can bargain also, but they doesn't know, and maybe they doesn't have that kind of a power to bargain and fix the price in their favor. So they are buying it in higher prices. So that's why there is certain education system that have been made for the farmers, so that they could be smart enough to deal these particular things in their favor. Now higher the supply, lower is the demand. So basically this caused the distress sales. So now because of this high population, the demand that they particularly want is particularly low, because they can't achieve that kind of a supply of particular things. So if they in the market they are supplying around 100 kg of rice, but the demand is still only 50, because they don't want much of it. So obviously there will be a distress in the sales, so therefore they can be no food security without security of the smaller farmers. Now the impact of globalization on agriculture. So this is particularly the last topic of this particular chapter. So in the 19th century, when European traders came to India, Indian spices were exported to different countries of the world and farmers were encouraged to grow these crops. So in the 19th century, when there was European trades in India, Indian spices were the most famous, and till now it is the most famous, and now also we are one of the biggest producers of the spices, and we are exporting to these different countries of the world, and farmers are still encouraged to grow these crops. Even today it is one of the most important export item from India. Now during the British period, cotton mills of India attracted the British, and eventually cotton was exported to Britain as a raw material for their textile industries. But the Champaran movement started in 1917 in Bihar because the farmers of that region were forced to grow indigo for British textile industries. So basically during the British period, the cotton mills were quite famous because we are kind of the land of cotton mills. So the Britishers were quite attracted towards this cotton mills of India, and they eventually want that particular cotton to export it to Britain as a raw material for their textile industries. But when the Champaran movement happened because of Gandhi ji and started in 1917 in Bihar, because of that the farmers that in that particular region start to grow indigo for the British textile industry that are there in their own particular lands. So under globalization, particularly after 1990, Indian farmers have been exported to new challenges. Despite India being an important producer of rice, cotton, rubber, tea, coffee, jute and spices, our agricultural products are not able to compete with developed countries due to their highly subsidized agriculture in those countries. So what is the main cause of globalization that has been affecting into our agriculture sector? So whatever the crops we are exporting to the other countries, we are not applying higher subsidy level, we are giving them into the normal rate that we are giving into our country. So we are not applying higher subsidies on these particular crop when we are exporting, but we are importing all these crops from the other parts of the countries. They are charging very highly subsidized on into those particular crops. That's why they are getting more richer and we are into the same situation. So because of that, this particularly system that has been going on, our products are not able to compete with the developed countries due to their highly subsidized agriculture in those particular countries. So they are smart enough, they are giving us on higher rate, and we are not that smart enough, we are giving them into only the normal rate that we give to each and every part of the country. So that's why we are feeling in this because of this globalization, our agriculture has been impacting the most. Now the growth of GDP and the major sector you can see in agriculture, industries and the service sector. So the service sector has been the similar industries that have been built. There is a certain shift, but the agriculture sector we see the target. It is not kind of the similar one. It is not changed. It has seen a certain growth. That's it. Now through GDP, rate is increasing over the years. It is not generating sufficient employment opportunities in the country. So now GDP rate is increasing over the years in India, but it is not generating sufficient employment opportunities in our country for the people. Why? Because the growth in agriculture is decelerating. So basically the growth of agriculture is increasing and more of the people are there in this shift of this farming sector only. So Indian farmers are facing a big challenge from international competition, and our government is going ahead with reduction in the public investment in agriculture sector. So basically what is happening, as I have just told you, because of the globalization that is happening between this agriculture sector, Indian farmers are facing a big challenge from the international competition they have. So basically there is a rank that has been given to which particular country is developing how much kind of crops. So there is particularly ranks that have been given to them. So there is a kind of a big challenge that the Indian farmers are facing, because they are the China is at the lead and it is one of their competitors. So they are facing a big challenge from their international competition, and our government is going ahead with a reduction in the public investment for basically in the agriculture sector. So because they want to invest in the service sector more to basically get you they can also come to a level so that they can match up to their level. So because of this international competition, they are not much focusing on the agriculture sector now. They are more focusing on the service sector so that they can also compete with them. Now the subsidy on the fertilizers is decreased, leading to increase in the cost of production. Now the subsidy is not been given much to the fertilizers. It has been decreasing, and that's why there is an increase in the cost of production now. Now the reduction in import duties on agriculture products have proved harmful to agriculture in the country. So now there is a reduction in import duties on agriculture products, and which has basically proven to be harmful of the agriculture in our country. Now the import duties, they are not applying much on the agriculture products which we are giving to them. So it is basically harmful for our agriculture products only, because they are not obtaining as much amount as they deserve. So the farmers are withdrawing their investment from agriculture, causing a downfall in the employment in agriculture. So we have discussed about the food security. So we have finishing off this chapter. So just a quick notes about these particular topics. So the contribution of agriculture to the national economy, employment and output. First, gross domestic product has registered a declining trend from 1951 onwards. Then the population continues to be as high as 63% in 2001. Third, the government of India made concerted efforts to modernize agriculture in India. Fourth, India made concerted efforts to modernize agriculture, establishment of Indian concept of agriculture. Fifth, the growth rate in agriculture is decelerating, which is an alarming situation. Then, agriculture backbone is of Indian economy. Share in the gross domestic product has been established, and providing employment, livelihood to the population, and the government of India made concerted efforts to modernize agriculture. So these are few of the points. If you want to write in answers, you can note down these points and you can accelerate your points with this. Then establishment of Indian Council of Agriculture Research, agriculture universities have been built. Then veterinary services and animal breeding centers, horticulture development, research and development in the field of meteorology and weather forecasts. Now food security. So the number of people who do not have food security is disproportionately large in some regions of our country, particularly in economically less developed states, which are the higher incident of poverty. The focus of the policy is on fixing the support price for procurement of wheat and rice to maintain their stock. Food Corporation of India, the FCI, procures food grains from the farmers at the government announced the minimum support price to them. Now the competition for land between non-agricultural uses such as housing, etc. Farmers are badly affected by the uncertainty of production and market. The higher the supply, the lower is the demand. Now last, the impact of globalization on agriculture. So globalization is now a new phenomenon. It was there at the time of colonization. Till today it is one of the important items of export from India. Cotton textile industries in Manchester and Liverpool flourished due to the availability of good quality of cotton from India. Then the Champaran movement, which started in 1917 in Bihar. Under globalization, particularly after 1990, the farmers in India have been exposed to these new challenges. So we have finished off with this chapter now. Still you have queries from any of these topics, you can ask me any time. So last when I have given the homework, so just you have to do that thing. Now in this particular lecture, the homework that I want to assign you is that you have to draw a bar diagram showing the trend of food grain production in India during these last 5 years. Find out the reasons of this trend. So you have to draw a bar diagram which is showing the trend of the food grain production that I have shown you in this particular lecture as well. So you have to make the same, but you have to show during the last 5 years of that graph, and you have to find the reasons of the why which particular crop and which particular series is trending in that particular bar. And you can refer the table 4.2 that is given on page number 45 in your book. You can refer that from your book, but it is given till 2011, but you have to do what is the graph, basically the range in the last 5 years. So you have to draw that particular bar diagram. And I was thinking about one more thing that I want to share with you. So that currently there's things that have been going on because we are from a very long time we are staying at home. There's a mental pressure that has been there. People are not focusing much on their mental health, so it is kind of very important. So if you want me to talk about on any topic that you are facing currently in this particular thing, I am there to talk about it. You can talk about anything, about depression, any mental illness that you are facing, that you are not able to focus on your studies or anything. I am here to help you out. I am here to talk about that particular topic. I am not going to name you out. If you are if you want me to talk about it, I am there to help you out with this particular thing, because this is kind of very necessary at current situation, because most of the youth currently is facing this thing. I have seen many suicidal cases that have been happening. So I just want that each and every student is important, and I want that their mental health should be their first priority. They should be in peace, and they are studying in peace. So if you are facing any of these problems, you can share it with me, and I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to give you certain solutions, and if anything else you want that I should talk about any of the topic apart from this, I'm there to talk about it. So I'm here to help you out with certain more things as well, not just this the subject that I'm teaching. If you want certain other helps also, I am there. If you want to share anything, I'm going to listen, and I'm going to give you certain tips how you can recover from it. So that's it for this lecture. If you have queries, you can ask in the comment section or in the student query section. And just please take care of yourself. Your health is the foremost thing here. Just take care of yourself. Thank you so much.